Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking with Anne and Debbie from AV and the Inner City. How are you ladies doing?
I'm
Great.
good. Great.
Perfect. We're here today to talk about you, your music, and just kind of what you bring to the world. But for those who are new, can I get a little introduction about yourselves?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. My name is Anne Reend, aka AV, and I'm a singer-songwriter based in Edmonton. And recently, myself and five other women formed a group called AV in the Inner City, which was formed on my front porch during the pandemic. We got together to sing every Sunday, quite informally at first, and now we've got our group.
Nice.
I'm Debbie Houle, and I'm a member of AV in the Inner City. And so I'm from the Elizabeth Métis settlement. I've been in Edmonton for over 30 years now. So yeah, I'm super excited to be part of this amazing project and just having the opportunity to, sing these wonderful songs that are moving people and to be able to do this with these amazing women. So
So who was you got together to sing during your pandemic and things, but who was the one that said, why don't we make a thing out of this?
That was me. It was sort of, I started solo like very early into the pandemic in April of 2020, just putting my keyboard out on the front porch and playing some songs to people walking by. And there's a couple of neighbors that came along because, of course, there was almost nothing else to do around that time.
Mhm.
And then slowly over time, more people came and more people joined me on the porch so that we could be kind of a long porch. It's not long horizontally.
Okay.
And so we could be physically 2 meters apart and still sing together. And it kind of just evolved from there. And then after about, well, we did 60 of those concerts between 2020 and 2021.
Wow. Okay.
So by the summer of 2020, it was like a really known thing in the city, and people were coming from different parts of the city to go check it out and listen, as well as different bands. And we kind of had a series of, I would always open at 2 p.m. with my music, with singers joining in, and then it would be like a festival kind of after that with different acts. So by the spring of 2021, I was getting offers to play small outdoor concerts because that was all that was allowed at that point. I don't know if you remember that stage
Mhm.
of the pandemic rules, and I was not very interested in playing solo. I had way more fun, having singers sing with me. So I asked them at that point, when we had gigs off the porch, if we wanted to officially have a group.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like it was a fun time if you got 60 concerts during that time. So
Well, and there was not a whole lot of other things to do, to be honest. Like as
yeah,
a
yeah.
touring artist, there was no touring, of course, and it was something to kind of keep focused on with music, and as well as just a social outlet of being outside. People who like music and like to sing,
Hmm.
that was safe and possible.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually how my interviews started.
Oh.
I'm a photographer for concerts, and that's what I was out
Mm.
doing. I was covering and reviewing live shows, and then COVID, and I got an email that said, "Hey, do you want to interview someone?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And just kind of jumped into that. And I think
Okay.
this year I'm on track to do 250 video interviews or something this year.
wow.
And we're just finished February, so it's been going pretty well already.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Good for you.
Mhm. Keeps me busy,
Still,
that's for sure.
yeah, and still doing photography too.
Yeah, I was actually I think I have a concert tonight if, if I'm not mistaken. I got to go check out.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
I've developed Hidden Beats' team, so we're national. So I have people all across all the Canadian markets, and I think we're on target for 400 concerts this year.
Wow.
Gee.
Yeah.
Anybody in Edmonton?
Actually, I got someone in Calgary who travels back and forth to Edmonton, so we can
Hmm. Because
definitely
guess
look
who
at
has
getting
a
someone out
concert
there.
coming up this month?
Okay, we can definitely look at getting out there for that one for sure.
Just saying.
Hmm.
Yeah. March 22nd.
Okay.
Yes, it's coming up soon.
I'll note that right here just so I can keep an eye on that.
at New Moon, at the New Moon Folk Club.
Yes, I keep calling it full moon. It's new
Sorry.
moon.
Yeah, New Moon. Yeah, New Moon.
No.
I'll definitely see if my team member out there is free for that. So I'm curious. I know, Anne, you had your solo stuff working for a little bit there, but what was the inspiration behind the sound of putting together? Like, I'm sure each of the ladies has their own kind of feel of things.
Mhm.
How did you guys mesh your sound together?
Well, you could arguably say we're still working on it. But
Yeah.
it was really just I think, well, for me, I'm a soul and blues artist, so it started off by just me playing my repertoire and then people joining in on that. So it was sort of led by my own genre and experience in that. And then but every singer in the group has a different musical background, genre wise, and in terms of their experience in music with either like playing in a band or singing in a group or a choir or fronting a band or whatever. So the sort of diversity of our musical experiences is part of the sound. But for me, I was always doing my own background vocals before that in the studio, just overdubbing and it's part of the soul sound, to have the sort of call and response, typical 3-part harmony stuff. And I now don't have to do that. Now there's actual other people that are doing that. And obviously I'm trying to now arrange with that in mind and having more interesting parts for them that's more elaborate.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Debbie? How did you feel fitting into a larger kind of group scenario?
Oh, I've been doing kind of 3-part harmonies with the group Asini for almost 25 years. So
Yeah.
we and then when the pandemic hit, we retired in 2019, and so when the pandemic hit and nothing was happening, there was just, honestly, I was questioning like my existence and purpose on this earth, and it was like, why are we here? And so coming together with women is just, for me, is just natural. It's I've been singing with women for a long time, and so it was really exciting to come in to have meet very for the first time. We met in June, I think it was May or June 2021, and so coming together to kind of meld with these beautiful voices to music that is moving and kind of pushes us and challenges us to to bring our game, to bring our vocal game. So it's been amazing, and it's such an adventure. And I think we're just getting started. We've only been together for a couple years, really. We did the Blues Summit, Toronto Blues Summit showcase in 22, and so quickly from there we got we were booked for the Calgary International Blues Festival like later that year. So and then from there it just kind of has snowballed, and all of that without really having any recordings of the group of the group, like we've so it's exciting now that we're kind of working on Anne's original tunes, and they're fantastic songs. It's truly an adventure that I'm excited about.
And you guys have the Low and Lowly single that was just released with as the group now, so that's got to be interesting. How was putting that together and putting that out?
You want me to say something about that?
Yes.
Well, we both can. Well, yeah. Debbie just said, like, we did all this live stuff, and then at some point, we were like, maybe we should record it. And so, but we're all, all busy with lots of different things, and I'm on the road a lot, and everybody has other projects and jobs. So, it's a lot to organize 6 people to do anything, really.
Yeah.
But eventually we went in the studio in early January to record our very first single, which is Low and Lowly. And it's a song that I co-wrote quite a long time ago, like we're not sure exactly when, but something like 10 years ago with a
Wow.
Toronto singer-songwriter from the Warped 45s named Dave McEthron.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a song that I had wanted to put on a previous album, but I ran out of time and money to do it. And then when I had this group and I was thinking about like material, new songs to record that were not my already previously recorded tunes, but new unrecorded material, I remembered that song and I realized like, oh my, it's a hymn, like it's sort of like a secular hymn type of song.
Mm-hmm.
And it really lends itself to a choral treatment and arrangement. So I was like, oh, that's the perfect song for this group, like more perfect than it would have been for me to do solo and do overdubs. So that was the first one.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And so I usually like to ask about the process when you're putting together a song, and you guys each come from different backgrounds in that. So having come together now for the first time to put together an official song for the group, was it smooth working with each other on that, or was it bouncing ideas back and forth?
Do you want to explain our like rehearsal process, Debbie?
Sure. Well, I think over the last 2 years, we've been refining our process. We've been refining how we're learning the songs, and so we're at a place now where we're a little bit we're more effective in how we're how the songs are shared. So Anne, she'll work on the arrangement and she'll drop it into Dropbox, and then we go in and have a listen, and then we learn, our where all the parts are kind of segregated, and so we're able to listen to what our parts are,
Mm-hmm.
and then we come together at a rehearsal. We rehearse every Wednesday. Sorry about Wednesday. I totally forgot about rehearsal.
No, that's
Wednesday.
fine.
It's last Wednesday.
Anne just got back from Outies. Anyways, but we come together on Wednesdays and we sing it, and then we just work on section by section by section, and to where and then we are able then to sing the entire song, and then we go into the studio. So it's pretty quick. But I think we've refined it, and we're definitely more efficient at kind of learning our songs and getting them out there, and then getting them posted on Spotify is a whole other
Yeah, the digital world
conversation.
now is an interesting one for music.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I usually like to ask about how you feel your music has evolved over the years with your releases. But since this is your first release as a group, how do you think you each have evolved personally with music?
Mm,
Such a good question.
yeah. How much time do you have?
Well, the
Um,
recording only goes for 40 minutes, I think. So we'll see how
well,
it goes.
do you want to go first, Debbie?
No, I'm just realizing I have something in the oven. You go first. I'm gonna go
Okay.
turn off my
We don't
oven.
want
Yeah.
fires. Say no to
Yeah.
fires. Stop, drop, and roll. Or hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, for me, like I said, I've done my own like background vocals and vocal production on my records for a really long time, and I have sung in choirs before and sort of understand the whole harmony thing as sort of an extension of songwriting and arrangement thing. And so just to save money in the studio, I would always do my own overdubs and not really put a lot of thought into it. And the arrangements were pretty straightforward and not very involved.
Mhm.
And just sort of typical of the sort of R&B soul raylet kind of 3-part thing that you hear in Motown, and just all that sort of old school typical stuff.
Mhm.
And then so my evolution in having this group was writing for the voices and the timbres and the ranges of 5 people that are different from me, and also trying to make more involved arrangements so there was more for them to sing and more changes per section, and it's just more elaborate arrangement. So as an arranger, I feel like you know, I'd never really, I've worked on arrangements in the studio instrumentally as, you know, as part of the production process, but not focused so much on vocal arranging. So that was a big new thing, world to kind of explore in a sense. And then same with sort of teaching it and explaining it to people who come from very different musical educational backgrounds. Some people more auditory learners, some people have written out in the number system, like, you know, sort of explaining in diff, you know, harmony and R&B rhythms and in ways that I've never explained them to anyone before because I was just doing it myself, you know what I mean? And working with
It
the
makes you
studio
think more
musicians.
almost.
Pardon me?
It makes you think more. It's like, oh, how am I going to put this across?
Yeah, yeah. And then also demoing it for the group. So like as Debbie was saying, I would, you know, do a draft of arrangement and then demo it in my home studio, like GarageBand, whatever, Logic recording. And then you know, record myself doing the overdubs that eventually would be them singing,
Mhm.
and then have to kind of make sure it was quite accurate so that they would be learning it as accurately as possible. So it made me practice my own vocal skills a lot more than I otherwise would do too.
Okay.
So I was sort of growing in that perspective too. And like lately I was just in Montreal last week and I got last minutely asked to sing backup vocals in another project. And I was like, it just felt like, oh, I do this all I can do. Like, so just, I can do this. I mean, in my case, it was in French and I'm Anglophone. So that was a challenge,
Mhm.
but musically it was like, oh yeah, this is what I do all the time. So it's really kind of, I realized that that has helped my own skills too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think for, I think for the group, and I can only speak for myself, but, I kind of come from a group where we're just a cappella. So it was really, so I learned my parts, strictly by ear. And so our process, because it was an Indigenous women's vocal ensemble, Asani, and everything was oral. And
Mhm.
so I always relied on my ear, and that's how I learned. And so coming into the group and and kind of attaching a language to it, because which was, like a number system that Anne used. And it's, so I had to really kind of push myself a little bit farther, um, kind of beyond relying on my ear, and so, and I think it's been, I think for most of us, it's a system that was easy to learn. We, because and it's really kind of brought us kind of to the same place and how we learn together. And yeah, so for me, it's really kind of pushed me into the kind of the language, the written language of music, and getting more, um, learning more about rhythms and kind of feeling the groove, and um, kind of challenging myself vocally, um, where I think that, oh, I'm fine there. Oh no, you're flat, right?
Mhm.
So just kind of really, I guess, refining my ear and refining my vocals. So it's been a wonderful learning experience, and still looking forward to more. So
And I think it's nice to hear from kind of the inception of a group because a lot of bands and groups get together and you might not hear some of the stories about how you're able to work together and how you're able to get past some of these initial hurdles before you guys start really vibing and having this nice sound that's good
Mhm.
that's with each other. So it's nice to hear those type of things, I think.
sure. Yeah, and I think it's kind of challenging us all. Like we're now kind of incorporating moves and little some dance moves in our performances, which is really fun.
Hmm.
So I'm looking forward to more of that, and just kind of really refining our stage performance, for our audience.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a fun kind of roundabout way to make AV in the inner city what it is. It's going to have this nice kind of package that you guys can deliver.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So because you guys got together in, you know, COVID and a lot of other things going on around there, I'm curious what you guys do to stay grounded outside of music.
That's assuming that we do stay grounded outside of music.
Well, to everyone, grounding is a different thing. For me, like I sleep
Right.
3 or 4 hours a day because I'm so busy with different things, and my grounding is playing with my daughter now.
Right.
Right.
Debbie, do you want to go first?
Sure. You know, like I think for me, I think it's really important for me to take care of my health. Like that for me is the thing that keeps my mental health well. So I work out, you know, I have a program that I do 3 times a week. I do weights and then I walk every day. So that's my goal, is to make sure that I'm walking at least an hour a day. And, you know, I really um and also I picked up an instrument and I'm kind of writing my own stuff. So I'm very new at songwriting, but it's something that I'm excited about, and using it to tell stories and to share, to express and share a little bit of who I am and where I'm from. So I would say those are the things that really keep me grounded, making sure I'm connected to my girlfriends, to my family, like going home often. My family's in back home in Elizabeth and Cold Lake. So it's really important to me to get home at least once a month. Like that's, otherwise I start to get lonely and question again my existence here.
No, I mean, that's
Like,
understandable.
why
Sure.
am I here? Or why am I not back home? But honestly, it is the music and my friends and I have a great job that really keeps, I have a great life and I'm super grateful for that. So
No, that's good. What about yourself, Anne?
Well, let's see. For me, as I think some exercise and this the way that exercise forces you to get away from your screen and it forces you
Mhm.
to get away from your sort of just take a little mental break because it's a different, you just don't really use your brain in the same way. And my job is very creative and just problem solving and running a business and communicating with a whole team of people, like multiple people per day, and coordinating things and gigs and emails, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The phone is just like, and then there's the whole social media and promotion thing you're supposed to be doing, which I'm not very good at,
Yeah,
mostly
that
because of
stuff sucks.
time.
I hate
Yeah,
that too.
yeah, like it's endless and it's so time consuming and you're never done. And so then just having whatever in my case yoga, but like what, or going for a walk, or I'm also a gardener, which is sort of low level exercise, but moving around and watching things grow and watching things do their thing, watching bees and bugs and birds and nature do what it's designed to in this cool way. uh it's kind of puts things in perspective for me in this sort of world of people being unnatural sometimes and
right.
anxious, anxiety driven or fear driven, or
Mm,
yeah. So then it's just like nice to do that and then come back to the computer, come back to the thing. And music too, the music itself, like when I'm doing these recordings and working on arrangements or working on, the keyboard part, you just get in a tunnel where you're just in that and nothing else. You're not thinking about anything else. It's just the focus 100% on that.
Yeah.
And that itself is kind of, you lose track of time. You're like, I thought I was doing that for 1 hour. And then you realize you're hungry because you've been doing it for 5 hours and you haven't
Yeah.
even, like, oh, it's five. How is it? What? Like, but it's just sort of this focus that you get into that, I have to
right.
have my phone off, or the phone noise will get into the recording. So then I really get to check out from that whole
Mhm.
world of interruption and 1,000 things happening at once.
I
And
know that
yeah,
pain very well. This is
yeah,
hour 9 for me on the computer today, and I probably got
yeah,
more to go still. And
right.
my average is about 250 emails a day. A lot
That's a
of them
lot
are
of
just
typing.
are just
Mhm.
releasing like news releases and things like that, so I can go through them pretty quick. But when I can feel the drain for sure. Like
Yeah.
done with this, I'm gonna go outside and get some fresh air, probably have
Right.
dinner, but then I'll probably be back here in a couple hours doing something else.
Yeah, it's a lot. I just think in our society now, and in just the way we're at in the West, is like, of course, we have all this technology to help us do stuff, but then we're expected to do more
Hmm.
because the phone is doing that, and the washing machine is doing that, and the dishwasher is doing that, and so, but it isn't. It doesn't really alleviate our schedules. It just we're
Yeah.
expected to have this output of production that is rather unrealistic for health, I think sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's just the norm though in how people have to pay their bills these days. And um it's it's there's only 24 hours in a day. You can only
Hmm.
and you have to sleep too. And you have to like
The
so
balance.
what's gonna give? Like time management becomes a very big issue and then priorities,
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say about the gardening thing, the whole, you know, we rehearse in Anne's backyard in the, when the weather allows that. And so
Hmm.
we're part of that. We're watching her garden kind of blossom and grow throughout the season. And then at the end of the year, you know, Anne is like canning and freezing and we literally get to enjoy the benefits of her garden
Mm.
throughout the year. Like the other day we had we had a gathering and she brought out, soup that was made with vegetables from her garden and she got to freeze it. And so we got to enjoy that kind of in the middle of winter. So we appreciate your garden, Anne.
Oh, nice. I appreciate my garden too. It's not even big, but it's like my little oasis. And like I get a lot of I don't know what I get out of it, but it's there's something really amazing about letting the world do its thing and just
Hmm.
watching it and somehow
Yeah.
oh I don't know. Sometimes I feel like human beings in our sort of ambition or our maybe fear-based thinking. We're always kind of trying to force a round peg in a square hole. Just like it has to get done now and have it
Yeah.
kind of like, and then you just see like a bee going, I'm just going to this flower and then it goes that flower. And then, and the birds are like, well, doing their thing. And it just like, it feels like we have to relearn how to be human sometimes. And then
Mm.
there's these little bugs and plants that just like, oh, I grow here. This flower comes, then there's a fruit. Then, there's just this process that happens. And I don't know, I can't explain it very well, but
No, I think it really speaks to the point of letting something from the outside world into you that you can enjoy, and that actually kind of really follows into my last point here is, what do you hope people take away from your music? You're already taking away so much from your garden and other things. What are you hoping to give to people before Zoom kicks us off here?
do you want to go first, Debbie?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, what was the question again?
What do you hope people take away from your music?
Oh, well, first of all, I think it's individual, like the same song affects each person slightly differently based on 1,000 variables of who they are and what experiences they have and what music they've already listened to and blah, blah, blah. And it's always interesting to me to kind of put a thing out there that I experienced like this.
Mhm.
And then like the other day, someone's like, oh man, this song Low and Lowly reminds me of Michael Jackson. And I was like, Michael Jackson, okay, like that is probably what I just didn't see that one coming. But
Mhm.
but then I realized, okay, Michael Jackson has quite a spectrum of styles he's sung, and he has Man in the Mirror as a choral music. Like this song does not sound like his dance tracks, but you know, just realizing that it will land with different people, and my goal is that it just makes someone feel something.
Mhm.
To me, like there's a temp that music, which is notes and rhythms and in order, and a lot of that is just kind of lives a person feeling inconsequential and kind of blah. Like music to me is a drug, and there's placebo drugs that really don't do anything. And then there's actual, like, you listen to a song, you get shivers, you get like a physical experience with it, you get a very big mood change like a drug. And that's the job of musicians, is to give that drug to people because it's a healthy one. It's not an exploitating one. Exploitating? Is that right? Exploiting. Doesn't exploit.
Yeah.
Not to
So,
cut off your point here,
yeah.
but Zoom is going to kick us off in a
Okay,
second.
Debbie's
So,
turn. That's
Okay.
well, we've got about
I-
30 seconds, so I'm
Okay,
thinking
I
we
would
might have
say
to do a
people,
part
I
two.
want people to leave really happy and with a soundtrack for life. You know, I want to see the joy in people's eyes and the emotion when they're listening to our songs. So, does he have a soundtrack for life?